Why don't they just surrender so that all this suffering will end? This is Dennis Ross. He is a diplomat who served under multiple U.S. administrations, was the Mideast envoy under Bill Clinton. He negotiated during Camp David. He was noted, by the way, of having an extremely strong bias for Israel during the negotiations. But he puts out this tweet. He says, the suffering of Palestinians in Gaza is real. Why not call on Hamas to release all hostages and to agree to have its leaders leave Gaza? This would save the Palestinians from paying a further price. Since this is becoming a common talking point, let me respond to it by telling you all a story. In 1982, Israel invades Lebanon, and they do so with the stated goal of eliminating the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, whom Israel called at that time, you know the word, rhymes with Terrence's. So they invade Lebanon and they bomb Beirut indiscriminately, and the vast majority of casualties are civilian, and they destroy Lebanese infrastructure. And the PLO finds themselves in a situation where support for Palestinians amongst the Lebanese starts to drop, and they feel like they can't withstand this onslaught for much longer. So the United States reaches out secretly to the PLO and tries to negotiate a surrender. And the PLO agrees to surrender on two conditions. Number one, that they are given safe passage out of Lebanon so that they can surrender, disarm, and leave. And number two, that the Palestinian civilian refugees that are left behind in Lebanon are protected. And so the United States says, listen, we made a secret deal in 1975 under Henry Kissinger. We made a secret agreement with the Israelis that we would never officially speak to the Palestinians. So we can't have an official document between the United States and between the PLO. We can't even, have a treaty or a contract. So they literally took out a piece of paper, like just a random piece of paper. I'm not joking. This is true. And there's not even a letterhead on it, nothing. And they wrote down on it, the United States provides assurances to the PLO that they will protect the civilians, the Palestinian civilians that are left behind in Lebanon. I don't think that I even need to tell you what happens next. The PLO disarms and leaves, and what happens to these civilian and these refugees? Israel participates in and facilitates multiple massacres against Palestinian civilian refugees left behind in Lebanon, the most famous of them being Sabra and Shatila. And so when somebody makes this argument, as if that if armed resistance were to go away, that all of a sudden you would have what? Like Palestinian civilians would be protected by Israel that explicitly tells the world that they don't think that anyone in Gaza is a civilian, that explicitly says that they're performing collective punishment against the Palestinian civilians. You think they're not going to massacre them if armed resistance were to go away? They're already doing it right now. We've already seen what they did in Lebanon. Right? We know what the implications of a surrender would be. And the idea that the United States or that the international community could protect Palestinian civilians or give any assurances to that regard is a complete farce. We've seen what they've done in the past. We've seen what they're currently doing in the West Bank, where there is no Hamas leadership over there. They have no intention of protecting Palestinian civilians, even if that organization were to surrender and to leave.